Hello, everybody. I'm on this page, but that's purely because I'm just going to talk about a couple of different things. But before we do, let's just cover this page up for a minute. I wanted to let everyone know that things are going okay. Bear's going through the effects of chemo at the moment, so it's difficult, but again, everyone's prayers and healing and thoughts and everything, I truly believe is helping. And there's other things that we're doing to make sure that he's going to be okay too. So, moving forward, there's a whole bunch of things that I want to talk about that I thought, I'll just won't make a video and I won't do it. I can't not. So the first thing is I want to clear up a few things about this Cleo Smith case. And I want to do so from the perspective of an Australian who knows Carnarvon, who knows the Northwest, Karratha, Broome, Kununurra, Wyndham, all of it. I know the area. I know the situation in the areas. I know paramedics, etc. And I work in that area. So there's a lot of things that people won't understand about what's going on with the case. So I want to address that. Then I want to address Shining Bearable, who asked about the astrology for the concert that Travis, what's his name? Is Travis Scott, the Astroworld concert that went so drastically wrong. And she's given me a time, so Shiny, thank you. I'm just going to call you Shiny. Thank you so much, and I'm going to have a look at that because I'm curious. I've seen all different aspects of things of it. I've seen him apparently stop the show, then I've seen him not stop the show, and so I'd love to see the chart as well. So I'm going to look at that too. And then finally, what was I going to talk about? Oh yeah, I just wanted to talk about in general life at the moment and maybe give a bit of hope to some people. Maybe. The latest news, let's update. Okay, so that's an update. 11 hours, 10 hours. Now we're just relying on all different news here, and I certainly don't want to rely on some particular news stations. Now, there's a couple of news stations that I'm going to show you that you can usually rely on. Actually, you know what? I can't even do that, and that sucks. But if you're going to have a look at anything, SBS usually reports differently than other places. SBS. Now, their news, let's just have a look. What are they saying about Cleo? Not a lot, which is actually quite an interesting good thing, because on every other one it's the front page. So, not that it's a good thing, but she's safe, and they don't need to report on her every 5 seconds, do they? So, what about, let's go Australia. Okay. Still going. Okay. 5 days ago, SBS reported on it. So SBS doesn't jump the gun like always, okay? They've blurred his face. And this is just from a quick thing here. So if you're going to trust any news from Australia, SBS, and also that other guy that some Americans watch. What's his name? You know what? I can't find it, and I'm not going to spend any more time on it, but suffice to say, be extremely wary with everything you read, like I am now. So let's update this again. Okay, we'll go to this one and see what this has to say, right? So this is what I'm hearing now as well. Police reveal more charges may be laid in the case, but dismiss claims a mystery woman is being investigated. Now, that in itself is a little misleading because it says police have confirmed more charges could be coming in the case, but have ruled out one theory. Further charges could be laid over the alleged abduction of Cleo, but West Australia's Deputy Police Commissioner has ruled out claims that a mystery woman is being investigated. This week, they were trying to ascertain whether there was anyone else involved. Police Commissioner Cole Blanche was asked on Wednesday about reports that a woman was under investigation as rumours continued to swirl that the accused man had an accomplice. I can rule that one out, he told reporters. Asked if anyone else knew about Cleo's alleged abduction, he said, "That's all part of the investigation at the moment. My comment is I'm making no comment on the investigation." Pressed further about whether police had now ruled out a second person being involved, Mr. Blanche said, "The investigation is ongoing. That's all I'll say at this time." It's before the courts. The less I say about it, the better it is to have a fair and transparent trial. Now, that's not to say that they're not looking at a woman. That's them covering their asses because so much stuff's going on, and I'll tell you what that is. So, one of the reasons why things are not going to be what they seem and things are going to change and swap and etc. is this type of reason. The MP of who's the ministerial something, whatever an MP is, how can I, MP is the equivalent of someone really unimportant in America. He says that the whole of the town of Carnarvon should get the $1 million reward. Okay, so the $1 million reward is in question. Now, I'm not going to say they should or not, but that's just one thing. This is the most obvious next thing that has gone wrong. I'll go back this way, sorry. This poor man here was completely named the wrong person. Okay, and that's because he was an Aboriginal. That was it. And he had the same name. So there's been accusations of the wrong person. He'll sue, he should, and I hope he wins. Yeah, he'll sue. This will probably get taken down, by the way, but anyway, whatever. Then brings in the race situation. Now, I hate with all of my heart talking about race because to me, everything and everyone is one. Literally one. Skin colour is the most least important thing on the face of the earth as far as I'm concerned. But this was inevitable that stuff was going to start coming up about this type of thing. So I'm going to address it how I see it with what I know about living in WA and knowing these areas and knowing all sorts of different people from all different walks of life. So Carnarvon's got 5,000 people in it. It's a remote town on the Tropic of Capricorn. Okay, so look that up and you'll see it. There and above in WA is all of WA and all of Australia is Aboriginal land. But especially in WA, from there above, is cultural Aboriginals living on their land as people do. Okay, so Carnarvon has 5,000 people. All those towns have small amounts of people. Aboriginal peoples, white people, other colours, all different races from everywhere, but predominantly there's Aboriginal communities and such up north. Now, there are Aboriginal communities in Carnarvon. You are going to find out that and read that the person that abducted Cleo, Terry Flowers, the abductor Terry Flowers, not the other guy, read that that man has relatives and that relatives live in Carnarvon, because that's what people do, right? They live near each other. But Aboriginal communities especially live near each other and know each other, etc. And within the communities, there's family names. So when I grew up, one of my best friends, I'm not going to name him or anything like that, but all I'll say is he was Aboriginal. But regardless, the last name of an Aboriginal family person sort of it tends to define them, and it defines them in a great way, because the families are fantastic, and then becomes an overlaying issue of humanity that can't help themselves, giving specific family names different issues. I hope you're keeping up with me. I'm trying to be politically correct because I'm not interested in black and white. I'm just not. So I hope I don't have to be too politically correct, because I like to joke around as well, but irrespective of that, what this has done has brought about issues in Carnarvon and up to where the wrong accused person was from, which was Karratha. So check your maps. We'll have a look here from Carnarvon, all these areas to Karratha, where he was from, are concerned and have got their own issues that they're bringing up, rightly so. But other people that don't know anything are butting in, saying silly things, doing stupid things, including the news, and it's getting out of hand. And there's a reason for that. It's planetary. So if I haven't caught your attention yet, I'm going to go into the astrology of it, because it's important to know that what we're finding out is bam, 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 bam. Like I said, right? One thing after another, after another, after another. And I can guarantee in your life right now, everything is going one thing after another, after another. One thing's wrong, one thing's right, one thing's wrong, one thing's right. You don't know up from down. Life's going too fast. It's going backwards. What's going on? We need to know and realise that the universe is putting an effect on this situation for a reason. And I've got a theory on what that reason is. And I'm going to go into that too. But before I do, I'm going to clear up a whole bunch of things that I know to be true. In my opinion, I know from research, okay? Now, I'll source things and I'll show you pictures and I'll do whatever I can and I'll demonetize this because I don't give a shit about the money. I just want to explain things. So, first of all, we don't know if any parents or anything were involved. Like, they've been ruled out as suspects, but we don't know the end result. So nobody should say shit all about the parents. I will not anymore say a single thing, not even the things that I've said where maybe the parents might know of him, blah, blah, blah. We'll leave that there. I don't know, and I'm not going to speculate at this point in time because I don't trust it. I don't trust the information, even from myself. Not because I lie, but because of the universe. Some advice, if I may. At this point in time, the universe is acting up, to say the least. We've got solar flares occurring, which is heating up everything. It's not necessarily a bad thing. It is for the weather and it is for communication, etc. Certainly doesn't hurt by giving us an extra blast of solar energy that we require, including our nutrients that the sun blasts through us at billions of whatever milliseconds per millisecond. So the sun's doing something. Uranus is highly erratic at the moment. It's changing everything up. But it's a combination of many things that's actually really changing things. My advice is, because Mars and Mercury are together at the moment as well, and they're opposing Uranus, albeit quite far away, orb-wise, they're still within that 80-degree orb that I used, so still quite low, is stop, think, my stomach's rumbling, stop and think once, twice, 3 times before saying or writing what you think you know, because you probably don't really know it. And that's not just you, that's everyone, that's me, that's the world, that's everyone, because the universe is emitting this energy right now. Everyone can feel it. I know everyone can feel it. I've been told constantly. My stomach's telling me right now. I'm always being told that something is happening. What's going on? What's going on? Well, we've been bombarded with retrograde planets. Now they're going direct and stationary and in shadow periods and all sorts. So things will stabilise. Things will start to get better. But patience is the key, okay? Stopping, thinking, not rushing ahead. And, you know, I can guarantee that a lot of people's feelings are being hurt about everything at the moment. And it doesn't have to happen if we just stop and think, what am I saying this for? Because if you say it the wrong way when Uranus is involved, especially opposite it, and with the retrograde and everything else, and Mars here, you say it the wrong way and it immediately becomes a problem, and then it immediately reverses into a situation that's just silly. So it's imperative to stop and think. And that's why the news and everyone's in trouble for saying shit that they shouldn't say. I can't help but that Neptune is really standing out there. Neptune is also really causing a lot of problems with confusion in regard to cases, to murder, to things that's going, you know. That's why it's such a big thing at the moment as well. There's my stomach again. And that's making that aspect to Pluto. Well, not only Pluto, we've got some Well, we've got a difficult aspect, actually, to Neptune in itself. To Jupiter, Jupiter and Neptune. It's a semi-sextile, so they're never easy. Semi-sextile to Pluto. Ooh. We have an applying what's it called? Even I've lost its name now. That little sign. It's not great. Jupiter to Chiron, Neptune, sextile, quintile, North Node, and the ascendant. Okay. So this is how I see astrology. Okay, it may give a bit of a, I don't know, it may open up some thought patterns into it, but even just looking at this chart, it starts to make more sense to me. You know, why am I right here at this point in time talking, and the chart reflects it with my sun? Well, the reason why I always say we are one is because we are one, literally. Our body is made of 70 quadrillion atoms, I believe it is. Here's the number, I'll pop it up. The universe is made of this many atoms. If the universe and the body are made of the same atoms, I'm talking elements, all the things that go, you know, on the periodic table. I mean, have a look at this. You know, it's the we are Stardust theory. Now, what people may not know is that the planets exude a vibrational energy as well as literally push elements through the earth, okay? The sun pushes vitamin D through our bodies, through the earth, and through the universe. Each planet emits a different element that it's made of, because we're all one, if you know what I mean. That's why the charts work, because we are a part of each planet. And that's quantum physics. You can go and have a look at that one. But here's a little bit of information if you want to have a read. It's pretty full on. But to me, it makes sense. If each planet does that, then obviously it affects our body. It affects our mind. The moon especially does. I mean, we all know that. That's a scientific fact. People don't disparage the fact that the moon, makes the tide do what it does and everything every 28 days. You know, that's a well-known fact, and people accept that. But people don't understand nor accept that astrology is just a representation of every single planet doing the same thing. So I believe that the mapping works because the same thing happens. It pushes it literally through the earth and it leaves an imprint. That's my take. So, in saying all of that, that's a whole different kettle of fish. But if the universe has that much effect on us, then we need to listen to it really closely. I've been doing it long enough to know that if you, not you, anyone in particular, but if you continue on a path of trying to win at something that you shouldn't, do something you shouldn't, act the way you shouldn't, talk the way you shouldn't, every single thing that you shouldn't do will come back and bite you on the ass if you don't do it properly. I'll even extend that to people that like to bullshit. If you're going to bullshit, do it well. Don't bullshit. There's no need. That was just my humour, my stupid humour. But stop, think, be patient, and trust that the universe knows exactly what it's doing, because it does. So I do know that this is new information, relatively new. It's been out for a couple of hours now. Now, I'm not going to completely believe everything right this second because it's brand new, and I'm looking at the West. Sorry, the West, but hey, I'm fact-checking. Sleeping bag, still the missing piece of the puzzle. Apparently, the sleeping bag is still missing. Okay? Please continue to search the home of Terence Kelly. So not the parents' home or anybody else's home, his home, but her sleeping bag has not been found. Okay. Justin Benson Cooper says that. So there we go. The sleeping bag Cleo was sleeping in when abducted from a tent at the blowholes has not been found. Sounds pretty accurate. Let's have a quick squizzy. At what the situation is there. Now I want to go forward. Let's look. 3 hours ago, let's just look at all the news. The Daily Mail, that's pretty good. The Daily Mail's not bad, actually. We're going back further. Let's go back one day. The Daily Mail says the car of Cleo Smith's abductor becomes the focus as they scour the phone records. I do know that to be true. I haven't looked at that. I'm not going to comment on that. Perth Now, police release image of sleeping bag and confirm they are searching beach shacks 3 weeks ago. I'm just reading it to myself now because I'm like, huh? So, crews are scouring an area up to 5.2 kilometres from Cleo's last known location. On Monday, they released an image of the sleeping bag and confirmed they are searching a number of shacks along the coastline. So they knew they were looking for the sleeping bag, okay? And I don't actually remember that being a big issue. But to find it, I've got to go 3 weeks ago there, okay. So today, for some reason, they've decided it's important that we know that the sleeping bag is involved. Why didn't they make that important back then? Where's any more articles about the sleeping bag? I don't see them. For Christ's sake. Okay, let's read the crap, the only crap that we can read, because I can't get any good research material, but we're going to use logic and astrology, so don't worry, it'll be okay. Never fear. Okay, so all right, the sleeping bag missing. We've seen these pictures. They've waded through 50 cubic meters of rubbish bins. We've heard that they're recycling information. I'm getting more annoyed the more I read because this is just recycled bullshit. And okay, enough of that. Right, I've gotten off track. Okay. Our own skills of deduction and logic and what I know, like I was saying. So it's becoming a bigger and bigger and bigger issue within the community, with it to everybody. It is affecting everybody, black and white. Every different colour person in that community is being affected by this, having to be tested, all those different things, okay? So that stuff's going on. The police know what they're doing. They were there at the right time. Everything happened at the right time. The people that continue to go on about the parents, it's just silly. You're just fueling things that is fueling hatred towards people that possibly did nothing. I'm not going to say that I know, but towards people that we don't know the answer to, complete guess. And skills of deduction. Even astrologically, I don't like to go there. Sometimes it's very obvious that the parents are involved, and it's hard not to go there when you've been doing this for as long as I have, and you see murder and death over and over and over and over and over and over again. I didn't see that this time, and I'm on a tangent again. But that's because Uranus is kicking ass, which is what's going to come up next. So, that always happens. How annoying. Anyway, we've got all these issues going on, and the astrology told us exactly that. We're not going to know one thing from the next. Assumption is the worst possible thing you can do in this situation. Absolutely the worst. But what I can say is that repercussions of things come back really, 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 really quickly. And the repercussion of this is going to be huge. And I mean this case in itself, because it went worldwide and on the net and all the YouTubers and everyone that's a problem. In fact, it's not that, really, ultimately, it's not a problem. We've got to remember, we've got a lot of retrograde planets at the moment, okay? Everything is not as it seems. There's missing pieces of the puzzles in everything. So, it's hard for me to keep on this straight and narrow tangent because it's so up and down and convoluted, but bear with me. Oh, look at that. That's interesting. The ascent, so this is right now where I live, the 11th of November, late hours of the morning. The moon is in Aquarius on the DC there, conjunct Saturn. That's an interesting one. 7 degrees Leo is, my sun is 6 degrees 57 of Leo. My sun is right there on this ascendant. So this chart is showing me talking to you. Look at this third house. There's the sun in Scorpio. Remember those tarot cards I pulled out, by the way, people? There's Mercury and there's Mars at 7, 7, 7, 7. Wow, I didn't even notice that. Look at these 7, 7, 7, 7, 7, 7, 7, 7. Sounded like Monica then. Or does she say 6? No, I think it's 7. Okay, wow, all right. So Mercury and Mars are both at 7 degrees of Scorpio conjunct right now in the third house, making a square to the moon, which is opposite my sun on the ascendant and opposite Saturn conjunct the moon. And these two, the moon, they're making a square to these planets in the third house of communication. So that's me talking to you. Now, the whole point of me actually looking at this was to look at the retrogrades. So these, let's look down here. Here's the planets, and it tells us if they're retrograde here. There's actually only a couple. Uranus, surprise, surprise. Neptune, surprise, surprise. So much confusion. And Chiron. Now, Chiron tends to do it a little bit more, but still it's retrograde, the wounded healer in Aries. So this chart in itself is pretty cool. My sun's on there. A lot of my planets are actually sitting in this 12th house, so I'm uncovering what I know about the situation. I'm verbalizing it to everybody, the third house, about the situation and the perpetrator, because that's the ruler, that's the perpetrator, 7 degree Saturn, Aquarian perp of Cleo. God, I hope that's right. Yeah, yes. Or was it Brian Laundrie? Yeah, God, I don't know. No. So it's imperative that I'm talking to you right now, and I'm putting my heart and soul into it because I've got a lot to say, and that's showing us because the moon is squaring Mercury and Mars here, okay? 7, 7, 7, 7, from the third house to the sixth and the seventh. I'd like to talk about what I know about the perps, what I know about patience, and Uranus up here is forming a wide but still a T-square to all these planets. That's this big red thing. Uranus is in Taurus at the moment at 12 degrees. That is the planet alone, I feel, that is kicking butt. Okay, it's not a happy chappy. Neptune is in the 8th house, so I'm talking about death. That makes perfect sense. I'm not talking backwards, but it is retrograde. That's forming an aspect to Pluto. Now, that's another thing. I believe that when Pluto does a return in the USA chart, it's going to be, excuse the pun, explosive. Not a war, nothing like that. But that's another reading for another day. Have a look at that one because I'll check the time. 3 a.m. That's exactly when she was taken. Okay, I've lowered the orbs a lot. So here we have a synastry between the outside is when she was taken and in red, and the inside is right now. See the sevens, 7, 7s, and then we have the outside. So the moon was at the spot that Jupiter is now at. Jupiter's retrograde. Hang on a minute. Mercury's not. Oh, Mercury. Okay, Mercury was retrograde. All right, silly me. So when it happened, Jupiter was retrograde at 22, and now it is retrograde. Now it is not retrograde at 23. Wow, that's a close. 22 and 23. Shit, God, that's important. And it was in the chart. So they've swapped positions, and Jupiter has just come out of its shadow period of being retrograde as well in the 7th house there. That's very interesting. Now, that Jupiter is making an aspect to Mercury at the time in the 2nd house. Okay, let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. All right, give me just 2 seconds. Try this one. Doesn't make much difference. Okay, so just quickly, I'm just going to say Neptune has barely moved and is still on the 8th house cusp. So we don't know anything, and there's just more confusion coming. Uranus has moved 1 degree since it happened. So it's at 13 now. No, sorry, it's retrograde. It was at 13 when it happened, and now it is back at 12. So when it starts to move forward and go back to 13, more unexpected stuff's going to happen, but probably the truth will come out. Note the houses that this is in. So I'm giving you information about what I know. That was actually an interesting thing that's probably taken and put an extra hour on uploading, but never mind. So I'm treating this like a live, sort of, really, because I've got a few things to say, but I don't want to try and keep up with actually talking to people, even though I love everybody. I just wanted to pop it on a video and do all these different things. So, yeah, that's what I'm doing. All right, so that's the Cleo now chart. It's not the Cleo chart, that's the now chart. So when watching my videos on Cleo, I flip and flop. I'm human. It's hard because you go with what you know, but I truly believe that this is paving the way for different types of media. It has to, and not just here, but in America. And I'm really hopeful about that, because fake news is a problem, and it's spilling over into the true crime area, or crime, is a bad thing. And I've grappled for so many years putting up videos or doing anything. That's why I'm happy to keep my subscribers low, because the thought of contributing to any problem to me is horrifying. But I know that this works, so I can't stop. I can't not map. I have to map just to try and help the best way I can. And it's just been proven time and time again that it works, so I have to keep doing it. Regardless. I'm not going to do it anymore because all the videos have the information, and undoubtedly the first one will have probably the most information in it, I would say. I'm hazarding a guess. Okay, let's move along and look at this other chart, because I think that is ages, and I haven't even had a look at this Travis Scott Astroworld, of all things, Astroworld concert. Tragedy, nightmare, shocking. I can't even imagine. Uranus is probably going to be on the ascendant or something. I was just doing my fact checking on the place, because I'm a complete Mars Virgo like that. And look at that, at the stadium, it's called the Astrodome, as well as Astroworld at the Astrodome. Whew. I'm interested in seeing this chart. Let's have a look at it. You know what? We're going to look at 9 o'clock first and then go to 9:38. Okay, so quickly now, I kept my orbs reduced. I'm going to add DNA. I always do. I don't know why. I think it's habit. That's silly. I do know why. It helps. I'm going to chuck in a couple of difficult aspects too. Quintiles and biquintiles, 72 degrees and 144. Those aspects are well worth researching just by themselves. So let's have a look at the chart. 9 o'clock. Okay. Okay, so here I have 9:38. I'm going to go over them. Just give me 1 second. And I also have 9:47, which Shining put down as well. So there's not going to be a lot of difference. We'll look at the angles at 9:38, 3 degrees. Quick scan, and then back to this one, 5 degrees. It's not far off. Everything else is, hang on, which side's this on? 20, 21. It's on that side now. At 9:38, which when the emergency was declared. Okay. That's when it became public. Alright, let's have a look. Okay, so obviously I'm not reading a murder chart, but a lot of people are dead. So what do we see when a lot of people are dead? Most often, Pluto is fairly responsible for sort of big events like that, especially with all the things that was going on. Now what I'm seeing here is Pluto, I'll grab my pen. At 9 o'clock when the event started, Pluto was already in the 8th house of death. So it wasn't in a good position. Now, aspects. It's not making many aspects except this exact one to the ascendant. Okay, so it's making a quincunx to the ascendant in Gemini. Alright, so the concert itself is music. Music is Venus. It's in the 7th house of law and perpetrators, etc. That's pretty wild. At 24 as well. So also with that Pluto in the 8th house of death. Yeah, this chart actually is pretty wild. You're right, Shining. DNA is at 24. Oh, shit, DNA is at 24. So that's making an aspect. So we have Pluto at the midpoint of DNA and the DC. Wow, okay. Gosh. And then Saturn is in the 8th house. Saturn is the physical body, so deaths as well in the 8th house of death. Oh, what a nasty chart. Okay. Obviously, it's a part of the T-square, but there the Sun was actually really closely opposite Uranus. Sudden events happening in the 5th house of entertainment. Oh, shit. Sorry, so Uranus is in the 11th house of groups of people, and then the Sun, which is the entertainment, is in the 5th house of entertainment. That's crazy. So that's a massive connection there. Oh, those poor people. The moon's at 0. Oh my god. So just a few minutes before it started, when everyone started walking in, it was at 29 degrees of Scorpio. Shitty position. Venus is at 0 on the 7th house, and that's that's the music, the beginning of the end, probably for him, unfortunately. Well, you know, I don't know enough about it. I'm actually just reading charts. I'm still learning more about it because I just haven't had chance. Mercury at 0 as well. Ooh, ouch. In the 5th house. Conjunct Mars. Oh my god. He didn't stop because he was so gung-ho of like all the things that I've been talking about. He was so gung-ho about doing his bloody concert. It was so important to him, and nothing mattered. He was blindsided. He probably couldn't even see because he was so starstruck. I'm not defending him, but that's literally what I'm looking at. Far out. And that's just at 9 o'clock. Bloody Nora. Okay, so over here, and Neptune is in the 10th house, so that's not good. That's showing us that the MC's Pisces. Virgo is the ruler of the chart at 24, which is at 0. Shocking. When the tragedy is actually called a tragedy, but he still doesn't take any notice. Cancer's on the ascendant at 3 degrees, between 3 and 5, shining. So we'll stick with that. 9:38 is from the source of a timeline that I got of actually when it was declared an emergency, basically. So here, the moon's moved 1 degree, still in the 6th house of health. Pluto's now moved down into the 7th house. So the mass death has become his problem. Big time. Oh, God. Saturn is square, sitting smack in the middle of that 8th house of death, with this T-square between Uranus, that sudden Uranus, and that Sun in the 5th house. Man, he was just not going to stop. Now I want to see the time when he actually stopped at 10 past 10, so I'm going to have a look at that too. So we can see pretty clearly. So the ruler of this chart in itself, when the emergency was declared, is the moon. The moon had moved 1 degree, so the moon was sort of like pushing, come on, come on. The universe is like, come on, man, fucking notice what's going on. Venus has just popped underneath the horizon, so it's a bit unseen, and Venus is the music. So while all this health stuff's going on, he's just continuing on. Let's have a look at 10 past 10. Oh, first, I did hear something about someone injecting people with drugs. Now, that is this, and here, in the 10th house. When it's close to an angle and really pivotal like it is it retrograde? Yes, of course it is, silly me. So it's heading back towards the MC, getting closer to it the further time goes by. So when we do 10 past 10, it's going to move even further into the 9th house. Someone from somewhere else, a foreign area, to Houston, the 9th house. Oh gosh, I'll have to do another. I can't think straight about a profile of who may have injected people, but somebody probably did. And that's going to come down on Travis Scott and the production company as well. Let's have a quick look at 10 past 10. Okay, I am going to make it quick now. 10 past 10. So when he finally realised it was way into Cancer, the moon had moved into the 5th house of entertainment. Okay, so the moon was like, come on, man. Finally woke him up to what was going on. See, Neptune is in the 9th house there. Neptune was the confusion, the different amounts of ways people were dying, all of the things I've been talking about before, but also probably a person that was poisoning somebody. That's just crazy. And now at 10 past 10, we've got Jupiter, which is big things, lots of, larger amounts of deaths and problems in the 8th house of death. Neptune has moved just into, Mercury has moved just into the third house, into the fourth house of the end of the matter. So at the beginning, when it started, the ruler was Mercury, and then the end, the IC here is Virgo, which is also Mercury. And at the beginning of the concert at 9 o'clock, the ascendant was Gemini, the ruler Mercury. So basically we can sort of look at him as being Mercury and the two sides of the situation that's going on. And if we look at that at 0 and it's making a semi-sextile to Venus, which is the music at 0, in regard to the health of everyone, it's the end of his career. Yeah. I'd be very, very surprised if he had a career after this. Now, I don't know whose fault was what, and I actually haven't watched an awful lot about it. It's dreadful. So many dreadful things are happening at the moment, but yeah, that's the chart. It is very reflective of it. They always are. They just always are. By the way, at this time, if you look back on the news, you'll see that the Sun and Uranus in opposition this time was a real special one. It was in the news. I'll try to find it, but I'm now running out of battery power, so I won't even be able to upload this video. I was planning on making a half-hour video. So that's that one for the concert. Now, I can't remember if I said I was going to talk about anything else. I don't think I can now. Too much time's passed. It's an interesting one. It's extremely sad. But once again, my advice is for everyone to slow down in every way. Driving, talking, thinking, writing, acting, anything. Slow down, think about it, and realise the repercussions are swift and they don't mess around. And believe me, they don't. And I'm speaking from personal experience as well as seeing what's going on around me, as well as being a professional astrologer for 30 years. Being an astrologer for well over 30 years, 35 years. So if I can offer any advice, it is that we are living, breathing planets, and it's important that you know that everything that happens above happens below. Hence, as above, so below. Anyway, take care, everyone. Once again, thank you so much for all of your love. I wish I could name everybody, but I'll just forget, and it will take me an hour to go back and look again at each one. My brain is like a sieve because I have Uranus on the ascendant natally. So thank you again. So much appreciated, and I'm glad I could fit in a video. Take care, everyone. Love each other. Realise who's important and get rid of toxicity in all ways. Bye.